I'm Wish. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm the founder of Into the Orbit Consulting. More importantly, and more relevant, I'm the host of this podcast, Ray Bullshit. Ray Bullshit is a podcast where we throw out the patented, power-polished corporate script and we talk about the beautiful, messy parts of us that bring our whole selves into the workplace. Each episode, I sit down with a brilliant guest. These are amazing people. They're leaders, they're change makers, they're creatives. And we unpack their story through 3 personal words. And they can be anything. No fluff, no posturing, just honest reflections, sharp insights, and a little bit of chaos. Rainbows and Bullshit was born out of a need for space. Space to unpack and honestly experience navigating systems that weren't built for people like us. It's about what it means to lead with integrity, to build inclusive spaces, and to do the deep, uncomfortable human work of change. If you're tired of surface level inclusion talk and you're ready for something a bit more real, honest and human, you're in the right place. So grab a drink, take a breath, and let's get into it.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rainbows and Bullshit with me, your host. Oh my god, I just kissed into the camera. Who do I think I am? Yes, like that. I'm joined this morning by the glamorous, gorgeous, also on video. We are also coordinating. This is without intention as well. We didn't share what we were wearing, but I'm sat here with inspiration, friend, mentor, like all the feels for Ritika Wadhwa. Ritika, why don't you introduce yourself to my listeners?
First of all, it's all the feels. We did not plan this, but that's where the energy sinks. When the energy sinks, the universe does its thing.
So true.
And that's what happens here. Secondly, thank you, because Wush is one person who can get my name right without any prep. Like the accent, the name, with it all, and then that way we just start perfectly.
You're my South Asian sister, so we
go.
We bonded
right.
on this.
I have to get used to people getting my name right.
Yes, I hear you.
In the right accent as well. So a little bit about me. You mentioned South Asian Heritage Month's coming up. So I am an Indian born female, born and brought up in India for the first 25 years of my life, and whatever that brought, whatever patriarchy meant and everything else that came with that. I then moved to the UK to do my MBA 20-something years ago, and then I became a woman of color, I became an immigrant, I became someone who's fresh off the boat, and so all those identities is me, and I'm owning them like never before.
Love. Oh my god, that's such an amazing capturing of your lived experience. Tell me about, when did you move here?
2000.
Wow.
And then I moved to Canada, then I moved back here, so it's been a bit of a but here we are. So it's pretty much 25 years in the East and 25 years in the West, if I put it that way.
Wow.
And then, whatever that means in terms of your professional life as well, having worked in India in a very male-dominated environment, then worked in the UK and in Canada from a very white-centric environment. And then what does that mean for working in corporates, working in the public sector, working in the charity sector, and then bringing it all together as an entrepreneur in the last 2 years.
Now, if Ritika and Prabhaav Global, which we are going to talk about, is not on your consultancy list, or if you aren't thinking about it, I believe you're going to listen to this episode and you are going to give her a call, because your expertise changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my life. It really did, because I think CQ, and I talk about this where I have platforms to be able to speak about CQ being the future. I was very, very lucky to come to your masterclass, which you so kindly offered to me. That I will never forget, because I'd started my business in the first month. I had all of my savings had gone. I had nothing. And you went very casually, and this is why I love you. You were like, sister, do not worry about the money. Like, just come. And it was, for me to be able to experience you at your best, kind of sharing and holding a room with these amazing. One of the people sat next to me who I was like, oh my god, no, like Roxana. And I was like, these are amazing people that I remember like looking up to and being surrounded by, and you were holding that space and you facilitating that class. And I think, for me, that was such a moment for me, like to really double down on my business, but also to recognize that CQ, and we are going to talk about CQ as well, you know, what that can do and how that can change the way that we work with each other, the way we understand each other, the way we engage with each other. So I want to find out a bit more. So obviously, I know you've got two lovely kids. Like, obviously, you are in, you know, you've settled, you've established here. Tell me how Prabhaav Global then was. How did that come about?
Ooh. Are we going deep?
We're going. This is rainbows and bullshit.
All right. There we go.
We're going deep.
So we're going deep. 2 years ago, tomorrow.
Oh,
So
wow.
tomorrow is the Prabhaav Global's second birthday. It couldn't have been a better time to be recording this.
That's amazing.
I know, timing wise. I've always reported into organizations that never really, or worked for organizations that I felt I could never bring my whole self to. And we don't want to always bring our whole self either, but at least have the option to bring the parts of ourselves that we feel can add value for the reason why we were hired in the first place. So that's gone on for, 25 something years.
Wow.
25 years where I never felt I could bring my ideas, my perspective, my clothes, my food, my accent, and everything that made me, even with the masking, I never felt. And so in the organization that I worked last, I felt like that was the last straw. And I walked out of the organization not knowing what the plan should be. I'd been on a paycheck by this point, to 25 to 30 years almost. And then I spoke to so many people like yourself, entrepreneurs out there, those that have really paved the way, carved the journey. And they said, hey, like, you've done so well for organizations all your life. Why don't you give this a go and do it for yourself? That's your legacy. That's your impact. That's your... And I thought, you know what? My whole family has been about entrepreneurs on my mom's side and my dad's side. I was actually the only one in a paid job.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, there's something about genes. There's something about that floating somewhere going, I've got the skills. I've got the expertise. I've got the network now. I've created a personal brand. And I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually now think about this. I do remember you on LinkedIn before you started Prabhaav Global, and you'd always talked about cultural intelligence was a big part of your why. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, the brand was there.
The brand was there, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give it 6 months until another entrepreneur said, no. Like anything else, you got to give it 1 year. 1 year before you say that's not working. So I launched on the 3rd of July 2 years ago with a website and my name, and that was it. And of course, all the experience and skills and expertise that sits in your head. But doors started opening even before I'd formally launched the business.
Wow.
It was like the universe really started to come together, and this was the calling. This was why. In the first, I can't remember the exact detail, but I think in the first 2 or 3 months, I'd already made my year's salary.
That's amazing.
And so how do you go back from that?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you go back? Because you know that it's going to work. You know, and like any business, you also know there's going to be ups and downs. But it definitely started with an up. It definitely started with the universe sending a sign. It definitely started with, I'd lost my mum very suddenly, just a couple of years around that same time, 6 months before I launched my business. And if anyone of faith, anyone that believes in angels, and I definitely believe as a mother myself, that no matter where we are in the world, physically or not, in the universe, in the heavens, wherever we are, mothers will always find a way to look after their children, no matter where they are. And that was, for me, continues to be that faith, the wider powers, but also my own power.
Yeah.
And the combination of those two coming together, something had to work.
Wow.
Something had to happen,
Well, that's
and it has.
amazing. Your unshakable confidence, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Positivity, confidence,
Yeah,
it's your
confidence.
belief, it's belief.
Yes.
It does something to those around you. Because it really inspires me, and I'm sure it's inspired. I mean, I know it inspires. I spoke to Ro last week on the phone, and we were fangirling. And you know, every time I speak to someone in our shared network, there's always an impact. We were actually talking. Me and Ro were talking about potential doing a project together last week, and it was your confidence in, you know, the commercial side of it. I think that kind of helped shape our conversation. So there's things that are happening. I mean, I just think the impact that you have is astounding, and I'm very, 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 very grateful.
But I'm grateful. I'm,
you.
Ubuntu, right?
Well, I mean,
We are because we are. I am because we are. Right?
Yeah,
so it is Ubuntu. That's just, we don't even know how our connections are going to spread, who we're going to meet, how we're going to impact someone, and what the effect of that is.
And you've definitely shaped that and impacted that.
It is, it has to be at this point in, how do we call it? Someone said autumn of my life. I'm going to use that. In autumn of my life, it's almost as if what's left not to do? Like, why not?
I hear you.
Why not? It's all there. It's all there, and there can't be a scarcity mindset because why are we here?
Yeah.
If we are here for legacy, we're here for impact. We are here to leave those coming behind us in a better place than we found the world.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, higher powers means that it's not going the way we want it right now, but that doesn't mean we stop, because unless you've done something for a stranger, knowing that you're not going to get anything back, what have you done in your day?
100%, absolutely.
What have you really done in your day?
That's so powerful. I want to go back to scarcity mindset, because you have inspired me, and I'm sure you've inspired others in terms of tackling that. For me, scarcity mindset is very much rooted in my family, in terms of, immigrant, and I guess immigrant view of the world in England. Work hard, head down, be grateful for every penny. Don't. There's a way that we were raised that made it very difficult when I started my business to really lean into that and kind of go, that's not the mindset that's going to help. That's not the growth mindset that I need to help me to grow. Yes. How did you navigate the scarcity mindset piece?
In two ways. One is, again, I think that self-belief and confidence. I'd had enough of not believing in myself, but knowing that I was better than the non-belief that I had given the powers to the people to make me feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so I'd had enough of that. And so I'm so confident in what I offer, why I offer, and how I offer it to the world, whether that's organizations or those around me. That uniqueness of my story, of my vision, of my impact, that no one else can do what I do. Everyone can do cultural intelligence, but they can't do it in the way that I do it.
Yeah.
And the belief, whether that's true or not, the belief is so strong that there is enough in there for all of us to make the impact in the way the world needs.
I love that. And you really step forward with that energy.
There is.
I think for me, competition and rivalry are two attributes that no longer serve me, if I'm being really honest. But it's the way I've been, not raised, it's how I've had to respond to a very hostile world where people who look like me, people like me have to adapt and fight and compete. And actually, as you say, and this really resonates with me about what you've just shared, because there is enough for us.
There's enough for us, but equally, which the one thing that I constantly remind myself and those around me, one of my favorite sayings is that you can't compete with me, because I want you to succeed as
on
well.
your own. Yeah, absolutely.
I want you to succeed as well. Because why? Because all of us working in the field of diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, those that have the lived experience of what it's like not to feel included, what it's like to be excluded.
I really hear
We're all working with such passion and commitment to make the world a better place. Not even the world. That one person, that one brown girl who's 20 right now, who's looking at me. I don't want her to waste 20 years of her life not being herself.
Yeah, I hear you.
And so if that's what I really want, then how can anyone compete with me? Because if we're all on the same page wanting that, then there's enough and more for us to do.
I really hear this.
And so there's no scarcity mindset.
I love
because
this.
How can there be?
That's such a takeaway for me personally. Sometimes I think a podcast is, this podcast really is, I get so much from my guest, and this is something I've been really thinking about recently, and I really needed to hear what you shared in terms of the mindset piece. So thank you for sharing. Let's get into it. Let's get into your first word. So cultural intelligence.
Yeah.
Tell my listeners, what is cultural intelligence?
So there's three forms of intelligence: is IQ, EQ, CQ. The reason there's three forms is because they can be measured. IQ is something we're born with, as everyone knows. Of course, big life changes as we grow into adulthood can affect that, but generally it doesn't. EQ, emotional intelligence, it really works with people that are like us,
Mm-hmm.
where we're able to understand their emotions, become aware of that and how we respond. Cultural intelligence is then something, is a form of intelligence that takes off from where emotional intelligence leaves us.
Okay.
And that really is the ability to work with people that are different from us.
Mm-hmm.
And by that we mean difference in any way, and religion, nationality, gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, visible aspects, invisible aspects of our identity, but also in terms of invisible aspects. I've been in rooms where everyone, let's say, looks exactly like each other,
Okay. Yeah.
hypothetically. They couldn't be more different in the way they prefer to communicate. So I'm a direct communicator, you're an indirect communicator. I really don't like taking risks, whereas
Yeah.
you're like, oh, wow, let's try it out. What's the worst that can happen? You believe in hierarchy, so things have to happen in a certain order. I'm like, everyone's equal, let's go with it.
Yeah.
And those simple things
Nuance,
can create
yeah.
so much
Tension.
perspective, potential conflict, that what cultural intelligence does is take away that relationship conflict so that you're left with the task conflict.
That's
as a team.
really, yeah, that's a great way of.
And that's really cultural intelligence from a domestic diversity, from a global diversity, because we are, as humans, brought up differently. And from a cultural intelligence perspective, it's not so much where you were brought up, but how you were brought up.
Uh-huh.
So a British Muslim person in the UK could be brought up with a certain set of rules that might even be very different from a Muslim person in Pakistan.
Yes, very,
And so
yeah.
you can't say all Muslim people or every Pakistani or every British person is like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All those nuances is what cultural intelligence tackles.
That's really, I think that's a really helpful framing for people who are exploring this. And I talk a lot about cultural intelligence being one of the key skills for leaders, because I see it in a lot of my work, is that people are in conflict, in chaos. People are like, what do we do? How do we manage the situation? And I think cultural intelligence, really equips leaders, particularly with navigating teams that come from, we're working across 5 generations.
That's it.
We're working across a different way of working. We're a knowledge economy mainly, so it's not about task labor, it's about ideas and input and sharing that. And surely the more people can contribute to something, the better the outcome for the business and for the leader. So that's a really...
It's a tool, and exactly what you said, it's a framework, and this is why I was drawn towards it in the first place, which is how do I make people accountable for the impact they have on those around? How do I make leaders accountable? Because more often than not, leaders want to do the right thing, they just don't know how to.
Yeah.
So here's a tool, there's a framework that can really help you navigate what doing the right thing means and how that lands with impact. And that's what I'm interested in. So this is the one framework I found out there that uses that accountability. You go through those tools within the framework, and I actually can hold leaders, managers, teams accountable for how they show up.
Yeah.
For those around them that are different from them.
Yeah.
In a way that it leaves a positive impact, in a way that then leads to collaboration, then leads to innovation, then leads to inclusion. And before I finish that, the last point that I say is cultural intelligence is about how we lead through the change that you're talking about, generational change, technology. What does that mean right now?
Yeah.
What does that really mean for humans in the world of AI?
Mm-hmm.
What does diversity mean? What does polarization mean? What does globalization mean?
Yes.
Because the world is more global. You can work from anywhere.
Absolutely.
You can be a digital nomad. Organizations have to flex and adapt to what the next generation wants. And with all of that being thrown at leaders right now, where can I ground myself to find a tool that can help me navigate that?
Really, really
and that's
helpful.
what CQ is.
And what I really love, because I've seen CQ in action in organisations, and so if anyone's listening who really wants to kind of explore CQ, please do reach out, because I didn't know about it until you brought it to kind of my sphere of understanding. I think there's an affinity as well as someone, as I wasn't hearing it from another demographic. I was hearing about cultural intelligence from a brown woman, and that really, for me anyway, this is just me, was a really personal
anchor to the concept. And I think when I see it in action, what I really take away from CQ and when people are really kind of navigating and working with those tools that you suggest is how depersonalized it becomes in a good way, because I think that's the other issue with the challenge is this is very emotional space. And if you've got the right language and you've got the right frameworks, you kind of create safety around navigating differences that don't feel personal to the individual. So this is just one of the many benefits, I would say, is one of the key skills I think we need to explore as leaders.
And so malleable, because it could be, and I have made it personal where it needed to be. I've used cultural intelligence for anti-racism, for allyship, as well as what does it mean to work across global teams. So you've got teams in India and the US and China. How do you understand those nuances of what is cultural and what's not? Really any angle of organization saying we want to go really deep with this because these are the top 3 challenges we have, or actually can we just do surface level because we need to get people along on the journey.
We need to start something before, absolutely.
So it works.
Tell me about impact. So let's go on to your second word, impact. Firstly, tell me why did you choose the word impact? What does the word impact mean to you?
Everything. Because what does Prabhaav mean?
Oh, impact. Oh my God, of course. Of course.
So when I thought, okay, I'm going to start my own organization. I had 3 weeks to sign up at HMRC, come up with the name of an organization, have the website ready, brand colors. 3 weeks, right? And I didn't have to think. What should my organization stand for? It has to be about impact. The reason why impact is because one of my earliest experiences in the UK was 20-something years ago when my first job here, when my accent was mocked so badly that although I studied in English in India, I went to a Catholic school, and my primary education was in English. I think in English, I dream in English. And my accent was mocked so much that I lost confidence to speak in English.
When was this?
When I first arrived here, 2002.
Wow.
And so when I think back to that, and I can remember the faces of the people that used to do that and the ways that they used to do that. And if I go back to them, if I saw them on the street today and I said, if I asked them, is that what you intended for me to feel? I can vouch, they will say, no way, we're really sorry, no way. So how does intent land as impact
this is so
for those like me?
Yes.
How does intent? Because so another example I give is, let's assume that you step on someone's toe on the bus stop. Whether you do it intentionally or not, the impact, that hurt on the toe is the same for that individual.
Absolutely.
They don't see, they can't, because intent is so invisible. That and that is what, that accountability that we need to have our leaders owning, is that impact, is that there is enough information, there is enough knowledge, that yes, you want to come from a place where you want to get it right. The onus is on you to get it right.
Absolutely.
And so that, for me, this is why I named the organization Prabhaav, which means impact in my mother tongue, in Hindi. And so that's how I operate. That's how I operate in every circle now. It's about the impact. It's how do we convert positive intent into impact? How do we use cultural intelligence and that accountability for impact in your behaviors and actions, and not just what's motivating you.
I love that. I love the example of the toe, because that's intent impact. Also, if someone stepped on my toes and I was wearing really nice Bruges or nice Chelsea boots, then that's also going to have an impact. So I'm just saying. But no,
absolutely. I mean, 100%.
I mean, impact is so good to hear, because the amount of positive intent that I see in a lot of the clients that I work with, especially given many of my clients are voluntary sector charity clients. So intent is there, but converting to impact is a really powerful reflection in terms of that. And I forgot about Prabhaav. Of course, Prabhaav means impact, you know. So that's a great framing of the word, and really why impact is so important. Tell me about I'm really interested in this last word. And when you said it, when you sent it to me, I was like, oh my God, this is you. Because you talk about this a lot. You talk about what is the legacy that you want to leave. You know, you talked about legacy just now, actually, in terms of, you know, you don't even say, you were talking about that 20-year-old brown woman. So I know you're thinking about this all the time. But tell me, firstly, how do you interpret legacy? What does legacy mean to you?
It's everything, isn't it? So when we exist in the world, what do we leave behind us? Because in Hinduism, when somebody dies, we burn them. We burn the body, right? And you not even, like when my mother died, that was the first time I really saw up front what the whole process is like. Even the ashes are put into the river because it has to flow into something. You're not allowed to keep even one small part of any part of that person's body, clothes, anything, because that means their soul has not set free.
Wow.
You just can't. I was begging for it. I said, can I just keep a little bit of the ashes, just a little bit, so I can just feel, like, do you want her soul to be set free?
You have to release her.
You can't. Nothing. And that's the basis of karma, Hinduism.
That's so deep.
It is. And so what is left? What do we leave behind other than memories and legacy? And so my mother's legacy is why I'm here today.
Tell us more about that.
She lost her husband at the age of 42 with 3 young kids in a very patriarchal society where, no, you can't go to work. You sit at home, we'll give you the paycheck. And she's like, no, these are my kids. I can't confidently say you'll provide for them. She went out there. So her legacy of resilience, of standing up for us in that environment that was so hard for a widowed woman of 42, I grew up with that legacy. I grew up with, and that's just one small example, but everything she did to stand up for us, for herself, within that society, within what the society expected from her, what they taught her. She rose above it. And so that's her legacy to me. But what's my legacy to my girls? This is why today everything I do, because when I worked for another organization and I'm working from morning to night, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., I'm not being with the people that I love the most.
Okay.
I'm away from them. They're in childcare. I'm stressed. I'm burning out. All of that's going on. And I woke up one morning, if I have to spend 12 hours away from my girls, that means more than anything else in the world, it better count for something.
Yeah, I get you.
It has to count for something. It has to mean something. And so you have to push yourself to bring that best. What is my legacy? What am I leaving in the world? And you know what I said to my teenage daughter recently? Because this is so true. When our parents die, and unfortunately they do, when they die, there's a lot of people that come to the children and say, oh my God, your mother was so amazing. She thought of you with so much, she talked about you with so much pride. Your father was this is what he left for you, this is what you meant to him, this is what he did for us. People bringing gifts that I didn't even, just to say, this is what your father did for us, and we feel like we need to do it back for you. And I said to my older child, I said, when I die, I'm telling you right now that there will be people that I don't know that will come up to you and say, this is the impact your mom had on our lives.
Wow.
That to me is legacy. That's all we leave.
That's amazing.
As a Hindu, I'm not leaving anything else.
This is a soulful way, like so meaningful, and every bit of this is brought to life. Every bit of the term really has it in my head. What would you like your legacy to be? If I had to describe a legacy for you, that what would that look like?
Oh. So I'm thinking on the spot because we've not.
No, I know you.
As soon as you said look like, you know what came to my mind? Turmeric.
That's so weird that you said that, because I was about to say that to you, because when you had your launch, you gave all of us who came to the launch like a gorgeous personal kind of gift bag almost, and that turmeric that you put in there, I used it last week when I was making handi, and I said handi, like I said, I was making salad, or I can't remember what I was making, and every time I take it out of my spice cupboard,
we need to top it up.
I think
we
of
need
you.
to top it up.
Yes.
So what does it look like? It looks like turmeric, and that's why Prabhaav is yellow.
Uh-huh.
The brand is yellow.
Yes.
Because what does turmeric, haldi, as we call it in Hindi, what does it do? Touch turmeric with your bare hands.
Mm-hmm. And it leaves a legacy. Okay.
So that for me is what legacy looks like.
Okay.
Transforming
and leaving an indelible mark.
everything you touch.
I love this because because every time I eat, because I'm a messy eater. Have you seen me eat? It's not good. It's not pleasant. Like so when I eat, I always, especially when it's like curries and things like that, it leaves a
It does. It does. But how good is turmeric for you?
But it's not just the food. I mean, obviously we use it in spices and stuff, tempering, but the medicinal value. I remember when we used to
cures every cold when you fall down.
Yes, absolutely.
You just put a little bit of turmeric in water,
and
put it on the wound, taken care of.
100%.
So it heals everything from the inside out.
Oh my God!
It transforms everything from the inside out.
So
and that's my legacy.
And look, you even got some of the colours
on
it.
We didn't even plan that, but there we go. We got all, if I knew you were going to go down that way, I'd be all yellow. But there we
I always kind of I push you on some of it. Not push you. I know I land you with questions because if there's anyone who can adapt to and give me honest, reflective, it's you. So
because you make it easy for us to go. Okay, what does it look like? It has to be, and that's the legacy. That indelible mark that we can leave on people in a positive way, people that we can heal from inside, people we can heal from the outside, that, depending on their journey, how far they're willing to go outside, inside, visible, invisible aspects. And what have we done if we haven't done that?
Yeah, I love that. I really love that.
What have we done?
I didn't really know, obviously being Muslim, with the way that we with bodies, I never thought of cremation in the way that you've described that, and I'm really thinking and exploring, and that's a part of that's an education for me, that it's almost like it is a total release, isn't it? Like,
it's a total release. And I did say, because when we were going through, it was such a hard time, and I said, can I said to my auntie, when this was going on, I said, can I be buried? Because I want my children to come and visit my grave, right? To have a part of me where they can come and talk to, and they can put flowers on just to remember me. She said, no, you can't, because you're born a Hindu.
Wow.
So you can. No one's going to, but really, that's the religious aspect, and how religious you are, and how you feel that your body or your soul will find release, and karma and destiny and faith. And in that sense, I am a Hindu.
Yeah.
And absolutely, I want to follow that. But that's how deep that can go. And then if you look at how religions then affect, because really, what else? How we are born and how we die is not something that there is no people will never visit a country all their life, and they'll show up where they are meant to die.
Yeah, I hear you.
In that minute.
I really hear that.
In that, they're not the bizarreness of how these things happen.
Yeah.
And so religion and our identity and our faith is so that those deep-rooted answers of life, death, I don't think there's any such thing as coincidence. People come into our life for a reason. You meet someone at the train station for a reason. You forget your keys in the house for a reason. Like, everything happens.
There's a reason.
Everything is connected.
Yeah, I really hear this.
And just understanding that part of our roots, our identity, is really what's given me the confidence to show up unapologetically.
And you so do. And by doing that, you light a fire with anyone who is lucky and blessed enough to
roots give
spend
us
time
wings,
with you.
don't they?
Really,
and South
really
Asian
do.
Heritage Month is about roots to roots, which
Yes,
is such a powerful,
absolutely.
what is the roots that got us to the
100%.
route we took and where we are today.
100%. And celebration of those roots, absolutely.
The sooner we own it.
Wow, I could talk to you all day.
Me too.
I literally
Let's.
could. I feel like we snatched time, and literally, I'm looking and I'm thinking, God, I literally could do a whole series with this.
Do you say this to everyone?
No, I actually do. I do, but because I don't see, I've not seen you, and it just feels like it's been soul enriching. So I just, I don't thank you. I don't think it's enough.
Yeah,
for how much you've really kind of given me in such, and you do that because and despite being super, you are everywhere. You're so busy, and I'm really happy.
Running a business.
I love, and you are smashing
it, and
You
you
know
are
it.
smashing it.
You gotta do it.
You absolutely are. So thank you from the bottom of my
And I'm
heart.
so grateful
for-
to have you on the journey, to be there for you. And you're smashing it. I
Thank
mean,
you.
from what? How long was it? 6 months?
4 months ago.
Only 4 months. Feels like 6 years. Feels like you were born for this. What
love
kept
it.
you away for this long?
Well, I think it's like you.
Timing as well.
Yeah, I think it's timing thing. And you remember last year when I was going through kind of what I was going through, similar experience to the last kind of paid job I was in. You came, you supported me, and I was really leaning on you, and I'll never forget that. That
Oh.
was a moment, really.
The
And I think-
second you said I'm launching, I was like, is the world ready for him? Is the world ready? It's not you. Is the world ready for him? I had no doubt.
That's what you actually said that to me. The voice that you were like, the world's gonna be like, you need to come and like shine your light.
Do your thing. Do
It
your
was
thing.
just- it was-
give it as a gift to the world.
I mean, absolutely. So thank you so much.
Thank you
so
for
much for
having
being
me.
here.
Thank you.
And yeah, take care, everyone.
Bye.